Hello there, everyone. What is up? I am Rob.
I'm Eamon.
It is Mini Fuzz. How are you getting on, Eamon?
Very well. How are you?
Not too bad, actually. Unusual time we're recording today, so I'm filled with energy.
Noon, yeah. No, I usually only come alive about 2 o'clock, I'm subpar. Yeah, no, I'm on my day off and I'm flying out, and we've managed to arrange everything so there's no missed episodes we don't need to get anyone else in, so we're self-sufficient once again.
Yeah, I was up at 6. You see, I'm filled with CPAP energy these days. Wow. So I wake up like alert and I'm like, oh, what the fuck is this? And then I go off and
maybe I need to get one of those Bane machines.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah, just
give me a lot of energy. Yeah. Hope everyone's doing well. Hope you're having a good day. We have a sort of a selection of questions from our patrons here today to get through. So that's going to be fun. There's a lot of good questions here, actually. Before we get to it, though, we'd like to remind everyone, if you could head on over and check out our Patreon, that would be great. You get your exclusive episodes, ad-free video. We're just about to be partnered on YouTube, and what that means is if you watch us on YouTube, there probably will be ads. I don't know how it works usually, but if you want the ad-free video, audio, all over there on Patreon, you get other stuff there as well, such as the details of where we're going for this hike. And I believe, I'm trying to remember the name of the town. Try and find that in the Discord there so I can announce it. It's on the hiking channel. Yeah, and as well, guys, if you want, you can pay for the year, so there's no monthly annoying subscription coming out, so you can pay and forget kind of thing. Also, Eamon, if they have any spooky stories, cryptid encounters,
if you have any spooky stories or cryptid encounters, do write into us at monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com.
Boom.
And let us know. I'm just trying to find this place. Keswick,
yeah. I was thinking it was Keswick, but I didn't want to misstep. We'll talk about that now.
It looks very nice.
Yeah. Big shout out to our new patrons, Chris Conaway and Rachel Anderson Hedger. Thank you very much. Rachel is a cool name. So Keswick. So basically, it looks like the best town to sort of host us for our little hike meet up in Scaffold Pike.
Is it an idyllic lakeside town?
Yeah, it's really cute looking. Like it's like really kind of picturesque. I think it's more, you probably classed as a village more than a town, I think.
Right. Do they have a CEX?
The better.
I'm telling you now.
Probably not.
If we go on a tour with no CX, there's going to be trouble.
Well, do you know what though? We're passing through Bangor, so we can go there.
I don't want to stop there. Bangor's like the after photo of itself, like
the
before photo.
Good CX though.
It does have a good CX, but I couldn't believe, because we hadn't been there for 20 years, and when I rolled up, I was like, "Whoa, whoa! Did opium arrive in this town before we did? What happened?"
Yeah, so Keswick, we will, there was a couple of places that we could have stayed. One was there's a sort of a guest house kind of close to the mountain, and I was like, oh, that'd be cool, but it's just on its own out there, and the rooms were quite dear for what it was. So I said, you know what, fuck it, we'll stay in the town. But anyway, so the gist of it is, if you didn't know already, we will be meeting up for a hike, and we are doing Scaffold Pike. It is the final of the trilogy of the 3 peaks in Britain that we have done. And yeah, what we'll do is one day will be the hike, the other day will be a hangout. Of course, this is all weather permitting. For all we know, the weather might be that bad.
A warning that we can't do the hike at all.
Yeah, and we end up just hanging out in the town for the weekend getting pissed.
Yeah,
but that'd be
fun too.
Yeah, so that's the crack. That's the plan. If you're interested,
this year, I'm not going to be caught at the top of a mountain without a beer again, because the Moog made me envious last time, and he put his beer, and I said, God damn it, Mook.
I thought the same. I actually thought
this time it's not. I'm gonna get a powerful porter, some sort of big 13%er. Bring up a bottle of Jemmy with me.
Fall down the mountain.
Be grand.
But yeah, it'll be a good crack. And yeah, if you want to know what to expect, like last time, basically what we did was we hiked the mountain one day, and then the next day we hung around Loch Ness and chatted shit. And just
tried to go drinking after hiking the mountain, and it was just no one was able.
Yeah, so that's the crack. We look forward to seeing you there if you're available. If you want any details, if you want to know more, just drop us a line, monsterfuzzpodcast@gmail.com, or on our Discord or the Instagram, whatever. Right, that's all out of the way. Long time patron Lisa McNeil writes in, favorite book. Just quick and dirty. Favorite
book. I don't know anymore, but for the longest time it was The Beach by Alex Garland.
For me, yeah, it's boring, but it's probably Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
probably.
You were a big fan of 1984.
I love George
You're a
Orwell
big
stuff.
Orwell fan, yeah. Down and Out in Paris and London is great as well.
I do like George Orwell, and 1984 is a fantastic book. Like,
yeah, we did have misery brains. We were suited to that kind of thematic and sort of poverty-stricken narrative that he was writing.
I really like the 2001 series by Arthur C. Clarke. It's very good. I'm
a big fan of Kevin Barry's short stories. I read a few of his novels. I haven't read any of his novels. Beetlebone's a great book. It's about John Lennon, but it never tells you it's about John Lennon. Cool. And it's about him in like the Skelligs.
All right, cool.
It's bizarre. It's a very, very good book. But I think The Beach was the book I read where I was like, oh, I think I'd like to write stuff.
Yeah, it's like a pivotal book.
It really had an impact on me. I think I read that last year of college, maybe.
See, that's the thing is like, you know, the most maybe abstract or the coolest book mightn't always be the book that you pick. It's the book that's the most important to you, that hits you at that right age. Yeah,
I might read it back now and be like, whoa, I'd like, you know, sometimes I've read back on stuff even that I wrote. Yeah. And I was like, oh yeah, this is dog shit. Yeah. Or like, it's still good. It's just, I can't resonate with it at all now.
Yeah, because it's written at a time when you felt totally different how you feel now.
Like looking at it, if Facebook ever goes, hey, remember this shit you wrote 13 years ago? And you just go, ugh.
And you know why? Because you know the motivation behind the writing of it.
Yeah.
And maybe other people necessarily don't, but you know how you felt and you knew what you were trying to convey, and that to you, you're like, ugh, I don't want to.
And how like narcissistic and self-involved all your bullshit was.
And I think that's it. I think that's why. But yeah, like if I was to go back, I think like Lord of the Rings, I remember just reading, I picked it up again recently, but I just find it really hard to finish books now. I remember just reading it and going like, Jesus, like, and when you think about it as being like, you know, obviously there's been folklore and legends since time began, but when you kind of consider it as one of those foundational pillars of fantasy.
Well, the fact that it's survived so long. You know, same as Star Wars. Like a lot of people can say whatever they want to say about the new movies coming out, but it's an iconic brand with a rich universe. You know, that you can, and you could argue, I was going to say you can make never-ending stories out of, which seems to be right because they appear to be doing that with the amount of Star Wars stuff they're pumping out.
But like, I think it was Christopher Lee, Saruman in the films and Dracula and all that. I remember him as he was in all the Hammer horror stuff.
He was in like a metal band or something, wasn't he?
He was a man of many.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude.
He was very much a Renaissance man. But every year he went to Wales, to North Wales, and he read Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Oh, he was a huge Hobbit. He's huge Tolkien.
It'd be fairly cool to be playing Saruman and to go to Wales to read Lord of the Rings. That must be quite a
he actually went for Gandalf, I think.
Really? Yeah.
And Peter Jackson was like, nah, you're Saruman.
Yeah, you're evil.
He wasn't happy with it.
It is hard to go from like the fella who's he's known for Dracula to then be like
Gandalf.
Yeah.
I think Ian McKellen was the right choice between the two of them, but I think Christopher Lee, to be fair, probably would have nailed it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think he would have.
Yeah, I'd say he was a bit annoying probably to work on set with because he knew the book so well.
Oh, so he'd be like that
perfectionist.
Like that.
I'd say he probably, and he knew J.R.R. Tolkien personally. Like he had met him.
Right.
So
I probably wouldn't hire him. I probably wouldn't like, let's get some other long grey-haired fucker because I don't need the hardship of this.
I think anyway, that's from my knowledge, the little tidbits you read over the years. I'm fairly sure that's how it went down. But super cool guy, super cool book.
Unfortunately, the movie adaptation of The Beach, not really great. So it's fine. It's just, I think all the parts of the book that really don't really hit through the movie. You don't really get, like, he has a little bit of a spirally breakdown, but you don't get, it comes through much more sort of clear in the book. And for like more kind of pulpy stuff, I really enjoyed I Am Legend, the book. Oh, that's brilliant. Richard really Matheson. Really good. Yeah, we both read that at the same time. Yeah, very good. I remember I had sprained my ankle at some party. Messing. Bombing. I jumped off a thing, but I was hammered. Yeah, didn't realise because I was whiskeyed out of it. But I think I was there. Yeah, I think you were, I took a few days off work and my parents were renovating the kitchens, or it's the sitting room. So all the sitting room, like chairs and all were in the kitchen. And I just have this memory of sitting on the couch in the kitchen reading I Am Legend and being like, this is class. Yeah. And actually another one, if we're talking about lords and islands, Lord of the Flies is a great book. I read that in school. I don't know whether it was part of school or whether I just read it myself, but
That's
I think it
really
used to be, Catcher in the Rye again for like iconic sort of older books like that. Yeah, Catcher in the Rye.
Golding wrote Lord of the Flies, maybe. I think it's
Golding. Yeah.
That's a really good portrayal of like how evil kids can be.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know, and anyone that works with kids would probably tell you that is like, the fuckers like.
Well, they have like,
vicious, like
what is that? I think we've said this before on the podcast loads of times, but kids basically are sociopaths or psychopaths, and they unlearn because kids, babies have to be all about themselves, you know. And they sort of unlearn it. And I can see it now, like my niece she's just turned 6, but you can see she's like the empathetic parts coming through.
You have to teach
here
it
and
now.
there.
Or nurture it.
Nurtured, I suppose. I suppose, because ultimately empathy is what allows us to live together as a community. But when you're first born, and even when you think back to some of the shit you did when you're 7 and 8, and just like,
but you're just egocentric.
Well, you don't understand even like, you know, you don't understand that. How you can make someone else feel, or how they can make, even you don't realize that they don't understand how they can make you feel.
Some people are still like that though.
Unfortunately,
like as adults. Paddy writes in from Wexford, Mr. Paddy.
Paddy does.
Well, lads, you want to take that away, actually?
He says, "Well, lads, hope you are both doing well. Wishing you all the best from this side of town. Since St. Patrick's Day, the next big event to come up, I want to know about the Irish cryptid ghosts and ghouls. Which do you like the most and why?"
Irish cryptids and ghouls. I think cryptids, there's not many. So
no, it's all in Ireland. It's more folkloric.
I'll go right back to one of the first episodes we did, which was Dorku. I mean, I really like that folkloric legend because it's one that, out of all the episodes we've done a lot, you forget some of them, truth be told, and you just forget the little bits of information and the stories. That one I remembered simply because there's like a gravestone that depicts some kind of otter or some kind of beast fighting people. And you're like, what is that about? Do you know? And it's in Ireland, so
I think the one's Petticoat Loose I really enjoyed as well. The Banshee is more of an iconic one, but what I liked about the Banshee is that I didn't realise like all that sort of old it wasn't Sean-Nós the Keener, so they'd be singing, and that's where the origin and fed in alcohol, or paid in alcohol rather. I liked all that, and then obviously we did our live show was the Leprechauns.
Yeah, you learn a lot about them as well, and I think Dorku was probably my favourite across the board, and Paddy actually also asks who's winning a fight, the Banshee or the Leprechaun. Banshee. I don't know.
Is the Leprechaun in the hood though? Remember when Leprechaun was in the hood? He was like,
I don't know.
Rat-a-tat-tat with my gat.
Banshee or Leprechaun's funny because like on face value you're like the Banshee, but like you forget the Leprechaun's
magical. Very wily,
and he's magical as well. Like he's got magical powers.
Yeah,
he does as well.
And he's at the end of the rainbow.
Yeah, I don't know. They're both kind of malevolent in a way as well. They're both.
Well, the Banshee is more of a harbinger, isn't she? Like here's a harbinger of sadness, of death. Whereas the Leprechaun is more of a trickster.
I don't know. It's a good one, actually. I'd say maybe the Banshee, but I don't know.
I feel like it should be the Banshee, but I know what you mean. I think like it's styles make fights at the end of the day, you know, so I think it could be a good fight.
Freddie Terrible asks, if you could be a musician in any famous band of your choosing, what band would it be and why?
Yeah, it'd be Alice in Chains.
Would it be? Like Deftones? Nah. Chino fucking wailing. I'll try it on stage.
No, I don't know. Yeah, obviously like a big draw for Alice in Chains.
Yeah, singing.
Probably just because he's dead.
But so sure, you'd have to be like co-vocalist then or something. You'd be like Mike Shinoda.
I'd hate to be Mike Shinoda.
You're Mike Shinoda, brother.
I must say, I like that lady singing on Linkin Park now. Amy something or other.
She's Zeno.
Yeah, she's Zeno. Well, she got in trouble for saying your man who was doing... the fella who was on the in the 70s show, the fella who's in jail now for all his essay. And, she was like, he's sound out, man. He's deadly. And then she's like, yikes. I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, that kind of soured her a bit.
Now, to be fair, look, if you had a friend, like if all mad stuff started coming out about you, I'd be like, he definitely didn't do that. That's lies. But then if it wasn't lies and I had said that, I'd be like,
with him, it was like, yeah, he did it. Like, do you know what I mean? I get the whole right.
He was in Face Off, and he was a very, he was kind of, his character was a bit of a.
Was he in Face Off?
He was in Face Off. He's the one that she stabs him in the leg with the butterfly knife. I
can't remember Face Off. It's been that many years since
Face
I've seen
Off
Face Off now. Oh, it's a great film.
Movie.
It's a wonderful movie. Well, it's been a long time since I've seen it. John Rivolto.
John Riviola. John Tagliatelle.
Go on each other.
What band would you use?
I don't know, there's quite a few, like...
I'm assuming that this is like...
It's anyone, man. Like,
no, but I mean like that you're able, like, don't...
No, I don't think so.
You just have
to... anyone, yeah, it's not, like, skill dependent. You could be...
You just get
any
the
band,
skill.
Any instrument, any part in a band.
I would love, there was times in my life where I would love to sing for some post-rock bands that have no singer.
Oh, yeah.
You know, do a few old tunesies.
Like Explosion for In the Sky and all
something like that. And, what's the name of them? God is an Astronaut.
Oh, yeah.
Dub Trio and all that sort of stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, stuff that I'm, like... do you know what? Like, I'd probably so some of the time I'm like more into hip hop than I am rock. So in that regard, maybe like fucking Wu-Tang Clan or something.
That'd be pretty cool.
Or
you'd
like
be so out of place, it'd be insane.
I fit right in.
The most out of place in a band ever.
Me and Old Dirty Bastard.
Yeah,
2 peas in the pod.
He's gone.
I don't know.
I mean, Led Zeppelin, I assume.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to assume that any band, whenever.
I'm just trying to think, like, which would be the coolest at what time to be involved, and, like, why would you want to be involved, I suppose, is the question.
I think, like, for me, the Alice in Chains thing is the grunge scene of the 90s was one of the last sort of organic music little revolutions, right? Now, maybe because I wasn't around at the time, I might have hated it if I was like 30 at the time grunge was hitting. But I think that's the thing. And then nu metal is when there's a real sort of arguably nu metal was the last rock kind of thing that happened. But that seemed, I don't know, maybe a little bit.
Imagine how fun it'd be being in Limp Bizkit or like Kid Rock or something.
My name is Kid. I'm kind
of like, that's where I'm at conflict. I'm like, being in some shit ass nu metal band is probably better than like being in bands that take things really seriously.
Yeah, I'd say, like, to be fair, being in Limp Bizkit in 1999.
She got the power.
Oh, the Gucci. I got the fever for the flavor.
Yeah, so like, you know.
Yeah, that would be really good fun.
So like, being in like some kind of shithouse nu metal band from like that were just like Spineshank or something, that were just
that's probably, I'd say,
doing tours.
No, they're probably probably working in accountants' offices.
Oh, they are now. Yeah,
but like, I bet they have.
But they all knew probably at the time, they're like, this is hilarious, like, let's go with this, like, let's run with this. Being in Slipknot would have been fun because there's 9 of them. You get to dress up in silly costumes and fuck around.
I'd say that would be, at sometimes you'd probably be annoyed, like there's so much theatre. At least with with some of the band, like say the likes of Led Zeppelin, things like that, it's like you just showed up, you did your songs,
rode a lot of 16-year-olds and bounced.
Yeah, you can see neither of us are willing to say we want to be in Led Zeppelin or any of the bands in the 1970s. We're like, stay on that, you know.
Halcyon days.
We're talking about that an awful lot on this podcast as well.
No, I think, do you know who would have been a cool band? We're kind of flirting with the new metal ideas, like Incubus Morning View sessions.
Yeah, Incubus would have been pretty good.
For the Morning View sessions, that would have been great.
And like, I think if you get to sing for Incubus, you have to be allowed to have a class body. Just, he's not even class body, just lean.
Yeah, lean.
Because remember, he used to just take his top off, and it was like before Jeff Hardy did the Swan, he took his top off, and everyone just went, fucking yeah!
Oh yeah, well, he's a handsome man.
Brandon Boyd drinking a bottle of wine on stage, singing his songs, and then probably just going down.
His hole off.
And then just getting absolutely riddled with fanny after the gig.
Oh god, yeah. I wouldn't have mind being in maybe 9 Inch Nails. That would have been fun. Like going out and fucking shit up. Like they have good energy about them. Really like their energy actually. So maybe them, maybe Tool.
Yeah, you know? Tool again is another one that seems like there's an awful, like that's so technical.
Oh yeah, like ideologically it just would not sync up with me.
But it's just
too annoyed
general,
with their analness. I'd be just like, you're all bugging me.
Yeah.
Like, you're bugging me. I'd be better off in a punk band.
It's where it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just like, go out, have fun.
Being in a like Black Flag or something, just go out and start shouting and balling.
Yeah. The Clash, even the Clash were all great. But like, when you go to a punk show, it's kind of like just having the crack, you know? So I think, probably like, because punk is in a way a lot more fun than a lot of the bands that we listen to. I
think that's the thing about, not pop punk so much, but like hardcore punk is just... It's I'm not into hardcore. It's no, neither am I, but there's something about the expression of just like it's just and there's it doesn't matter. You don't have to be able to play or sing. You just
little middle class dudes that are like 4'10", singing about their ma locking them out of the room or something.
Yeah, there's definitely, and nu metal had I think nu metal, when you listen to the lyrics, it's just also like I'm the most important thing, and I don't like to feel not heard in my life. That seems to be the trend.
Being in POD would be just funny. Just
being in POD would be
the backstage talks that they would have had, like, you know.
I'd say those boys were not practicing what they preached.
I don't know. Matt Creed would be good crying.
Oh, actually, how did we not?
Disturbed. You joking me? I'd laugh me whole off. I'd say Dave Draymond is one of the people that I would just laugh at all the time.
Yeah,
I think he's one of them lads. I don't know him now.
It looks like he takes it fairly seriously.
Exactly,
he sticks to the bit.
Exactly.
You know? I still thought that song about his girlfriend YouTube algorithm herself. And he was like, and it's just really like, I think it's a responsible thing to do at the start. It's like, this happened, you know, and this, blah, blah. And if you feel this way, call this number. That's one. But then as soon as the riff kicks, he just goes, like, and just seamlessly goes in.
And the music video is him walking in on her YouTube algorithm.
It's the most brain dead sort of lack of connected parts.
And then it cuts to him covered in blood going,
Devon, 1 of 11.
Yeah, no. All that should be fun. Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Good question. Moog writes in.
You have the opportunity to spend time with developers and have carte blanche to create your ultimate video game. The canvas is completely blank. What elements would you choose to include? Would it be a side-scrolling retro effort? Would it be set in a vast open world and have a theme and storyline? Would it have cryptids in it? Looking forward to seeing you both at Scaffold Pike meetup. Yeah, it's going to be great.
Looking forward to seeing you again. I think I can probably answer this one fairly quickly because it's a game that has never been made that I think should be made, and I think, and why it's never been made, I don't know. They've attempted it a few times and they've never gotten it properly off the ground, and that is a good, and we're talking about books again, Lord of the Rings game.
Yeah.
Open world RPG, a la Kingdom Come or Skyrim, with all the races. Basically, you can traverse Middle-earth. It doesn't have to be during the Lord of the Rings, like, it doesn't have to be during that whole thing. But yeah, just going around and being able to walk around Middle-earth to be class, like.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so surprised.
It's weird because the only times that the Lord of the Rings game have seemed to sort of been really good are the hack and slashy ones.
They were great.
Which seems,
I have all them on PS2 still. They did.
But even the Mordor, Shadow of Mordor, and all, they were more.
People liked them, but I didn't.
I didn't play any of them.
My complaint with them was, like, you've got the Middle-earth license and you're going to put it in the most brown, grey, dull area in Middle-earth, like, and the whole game is just like this brown, grey. Now the gameplay is good, but it's like, use the IP, like, use the fucking high fantasy shit.
You're just getting that sort of medieval vibes rather than getting all the fantasy stuff.
Yeah, like, and there was an RPG that was basically just lifted from Final Fantasy VII's mechanics. That was the Third Age, maybe, I think it might have been called. It came out on, like, original Xbox and PS2 and stuff. Familiar, yeah. I have it there as well. That is literally mechanically basically Final Fantasy VII.
Right.
But I played a bit of it. I never really got into it, but that was kind of the closest thing you could get to it. But just something like Skyrim, you know, big open world. And nowadays you can make it even bigger with the tech we have, and just give us Middle-earth. Just give us Middle-earth. Like, imagine that. Like, imagine trying to fight a Balrog down in fucking down in the mines of Moria or something.
Like those with like
imagine that
gen graphics or whatever.
Or even make it like a Souls-like game. Imagine fighting the Balrog in a Souls-like game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Souls-like games are wonderful.
Yeah, I don't really like them that much, but like, if they were to do Lord of the Rings Souls-like game, I'd be all over it. Like, as a matter of fact, if they do Lord of the Rings in any kind of style and it's done well, I'm into it, you know.
Lord of the Rings one-on-one fighter, yeah.
That'd be class.
That probably would be class. Yeah, I don't know. I think you're probably right. Something that's very immersive. It's very hard to come up. Well, I would have said, like, you know, like, it's hard to sort of want a superhero game that's better than the ones we have now.
Yeah.
Like Arkham Knight and Arkham City they're two fantastic games. The Spider-Man games are like, it captures that stuff so well. I'm trying to think of games like that we don't have. I can't really consider anything. Like, even to your point, I'm even playing the Avatar game now. And even though there is elements of it where you'd say this feels more at times like a walking or traveling simulator than a game, it's still very immersive, and they've really captured the world. Like, you almost feel bad saying it's a bit boring at times because there's so much has gone into it.
Yeah. No, I get you. Now, this is your ultimate video game, so this can like be, do you know what I mean? This can be like GTA enhanced, or like, as another one for me would probably be like Resident Evil 1 done in the new style and executed properly.
Yeah, I'd like to have Resident Evil 1.
Yeah, done in the new style. Is there any like Capcom? Is there any of the kind of older games you'd like updated or kind of put into?
I'd like to get some sort of a Final Fight. I don't know what it would be like, but get a good... I have Final Fight Streetwise, which isn't good. Right. But like, it's kind of...
That side-scrolling beat 'em up like Streets of Rage.
It's over the shoulder. The Streetwise one is. It came out on I think it was Xbox 360 or PlayStation 2. Sorry, PlayStation 2. And then they just never tried again. But it's cool. It has cameos from Cammy and Guy and all that sort of stuff. Cody's in it. I think... do you know what, actually? I'd like a Street Fighter 2 game, and it's more RPG based, which you could argue was what we got in Street Fighter 6 with the Little World Tour. But some sort of an RPG based Street Fighter game. I'd like that. And not this Capcom X Namco or any of that shit. Like, just... or Street Fighter characters. Yeah,
I'd like to see another Marvel versus Capcom done well.
I think they're gonna, and then Capcom versus SNK. Yeah, I think we're as close as we've ever been to those.
I think it'll probably come, but something. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think like for me, that would like the ultimate video game. My mind always jumps to VR until you actually play VR, and then you're like, because like obviously on paper you're like, oh, the virtual reality is where it's at. Like, because like imagine say exploring Resident Evil Mansion in full VR, but then you actually play VR and you're like, ugh.
It's not exactly. I think VR is almost better for like your kayak game or the Beat Saber. Yeah. Like, I enjoyed those
gimmicky
games.
Stuff like.
Yeah, but like when it actually goes, and the other part is it's not actually that nice playing Resident Evil in VR. No, it's like you don't feel good. You're too in it.
Yeah, you're terrified. Like,
yeah,
which in a way is good.
It's very immersive, but you know you need to like. You need to have a certain level of separation between you and like, I don't actually want to be in a mansion with killer monsters. I don't want that in real life where I'm looking for fucking keys all day. No, but I do want to experience it with just the right amount of anxiety.
Yeah, so that's what we put cryptids in them. Yeah, of course. I like in Lord of the Rings, if you're doing a big massive open world Lord of the Rings, I mean, the world is your oyster. Really. There's a lot of kind of cryptidy creatures in it.
You could do a cool game from the cryptids perspective, maybe. Do you know, like setting traps as the mop man? Like,
oh no, there's definitely a good game.
Kind of like that would be kind of what Dead by Daylight or whatever, maybe something like that. There's
definitely a huge room that hasn't been exploited yet for like cryptids as main characters in video games.
It looks like there's a Wendigo game coming out. I can't remember the name of it. It's called Bornless, right? Bornless, I think. But yeah, it looks Wendigo vibes.
I played like a shitty Bigfoot game for our channel. It's actually on our channel.
That's the one where you try and
you go back, you're hunting them, but it wasn't fully developed. But it had potential had they developed it. But yeah, like I mean, you know, if you stick a Bigfoot in a hunting game, that'd be fun. You know.
Well, if you think of Resident Evil Village and all the werewolves, if you change them out with Bigfoots and put it in the forest and then fuck around with some other stuff, like that's one of the things I really liked about Village. I thought you really had a sense, even though I know it's probably not based on actual folklore, but it felt very
was, I think there was parts, I think it was lifted in parts from...
You certainly felt that, like witches in the castle and werewolves, like it was barely a Resident Evil game in a lot of ways.
World is your oyster, like, because you could do like a Stardew Valley style game where like you have natural disasters caused by cryptids, do you know what I mean? You have a Bigfoot that comes in and robs your crops at night. you have a Mothman that like does weather events and destroys parts of your buildings or something. You know, like,
when you see the Mothman, you know the famine's coming, so you have to change the soil or do whatever.
When
else,
the go shows up when it's a winter environment and you're sort of short on food.
There's a lot of stuff you can do.
There's huge amounts of scope there for those ideas for sure. Carl Fogarty writes in and says, you have to pick a cryptid or monster to be your life coach and must follow all of their advice. Which cryptid or monster do you think would 1, make you the richest, 2, make you the happiest, and 3, make you the healthiest?
I suppose the leprechaun would probably make you the richest.
If you'd class him as a cryptid or monster, yes.
Very true, very true.
If you didn't, I'm trying to think there now of a cryptid. Do you know what? Like, it could be like any of the like is kind of sea cryptids, because they'd be able to take you down to like shipwrecks and stuff and bring up crates of gold for you, you know. Do you know?
The Leviathan.
Yeah, he sent him down to like fish up.
Get us a load of gold there.
Get us a box of doubloons there, please.
Yeah.
You know, he'd be a good one for richest.
I think you're right.
Happiest?
I don't know.
Who would you be? No, what cryptid would you be most happiest with?
Well, in keeping with the Resident Evil Village theme, maybe the 8-foot woman. That step on me mommy trope.
Hachu-Saku-sama.
Hachu-Shaku-sama. But again, I don't know if that would make you the happiest. That's really just a carnal lust, desire. Disgusting animal brain lust.
Yeah.
I like
some kind of shapeshifter.
I mean, I guess some of the aliens, if they could give you some sort of, and again, I know they're not strictly cryptids, but you know, if you could understand what was happening, they could sort of see you through your personal development to become more actualized, because you would imagine the aliens are trying to guide us towards proper evolution, maybe.
Fresno Nightcrawler, you get a good laugh out of him.
He's just funny looking. Pants. I have to do a song for the Moog for the Fresno Nightcrawlers. It'll be a week or two now till I can get back, but I'm looking forward. He wants it in the style of Chris Cornell, so God only knows how it's gonna come on.
Which would make it the healthiest? Mothman, 'cause you're running from him, or one of the ones that you're scared shitless of.
What was that thing? There was one. This isn't a cryptid. This is more of like a stupid thought idea. Would you get paid €1 million, but there's a snail that it can never die and it's always following you, and if it touches you, you'll die?
Oh yeah, that's a bit annoying, isn't it?
You have to consider it, don't you? Because like the snail, a bit annoying. Yeah, he's super slow.
It's constant anxiety.
It's only $1 million as well.
Then again, you already live with constant anxiety, so it's like, why not add a snail into the mix?
That is a good point.
You know,
you already live with.
I mean, me in general.
No, I think you're right.
Yeah,
I know. Even yesterday, I was saying after we were out playing music the other day, and like we went out with the pints, and as soon as I woke up the next day, my brain was just like, this is a thing that happened 15 years ago. Just immediately started pelting me with shit. I was like, yeah. What I love is like almost when you stare that in the eye, you know you're a weak man, and you just go, yeah. So shut up. And then it goes, oh, I see, I don't have as much power here as I used to have.
Yeah, I think the snail, considering generalized anxiety is already something that we're dealing with here.
Do you know, I think it's actually a good allegory for actual anxiety.
That was the first thing he said.
The likelihood of this.
It's the first thing I thought. Like, that's the first thing.
It's probably never going to happen.
I was like, well, I already worry all day. So it's like,
I already worry all day. Oh man,
what's a snail going to do?
Yeah,
bring it on, snail.
And as well, it's rare you see a snail inside the house, but then this snail its aim would be to kill you, so it'd be trying to get up gutters. It can't die.
It can't. Well, that's an important caveat, because if it can, I wondered like if you were to put like a ring of salt around the bed, would he be like, fuck, I can't die, but I'm definitely not going across that.
You'd have to sleep in some sort of weird cellophane thing so it couldn't touch you with like a straw out your mouth. So you'd sleep in like you'd sleep in a morph suit.
Yeah,
a morph suit you might be okay because it can't touch you.
Yeah,
but then can the snail come up with strategies to get into the morph suit?
You wake up and you feel its slime on your leg, and you're like, oh god!
And you're trying to take off the suit slowly and not touch the snail. Yeah, it's look, I'd say you'd have a few spicy moments over the course of your life. Then again, if you just fucking flew to a different country, how's the snail going to get there?
Yeah, true. You just have to wait for him to eventually show up.
He's just like the zombies in Land of the Dead, slowly under the water.
So Lord Stephen William Marlowe II writes in.
He says, "Hi chaps, favorite decade for horror and sci-fi fantasy films. For me, it would be the 80s for horror and 70s for sci-fi fantasy. Thanks for the podcast, always great." Here's an interesting question. Horror, 80s is a good period for horror. I do kind of like some of the 90s.
I like the 2000s, I think.
And the 2000s as well, yeah.
I actually think horror hit a bit of a renaissance in the 2008, maybe up to or maybe even earlier, maybe 2005 to 2015 or something.
Well, I think there was a lot of, it was what was that, Wrong Turn, Hills Have Eyes?
Yeah, Insidious, Paranormal Activity.
Yeah. And you could make an argument that
Conjuring.
Right now, maybe in the last 5 years, horror is actually hitting even more of an artistic license.
Yeah.
But then when you go back and you watch Evil Dead 2, it's oh wow.
Well, they all walk so the others can even breathe almost.
But there is something Dawn of the Dead. I love Day of the Dead, the original Day of the Dead. I'm love it. Yeah,
80s horror I'm not huge. Obviously all of it's so iconic, and I watched all of it growing up as a kid.
But it is very kind of campy. Or an awful lot like Halloween, maybe not so much, at least at the early
Halloween's
ones.
great.
Halloween's great, but then when you do start getting into Halloween 4, 5 and 6, they do start Friday the 13th. I still enjoy them. I still like them a lot.
Yeah, they're fine.
They become very silly. Friday the 13th has always been silly, and it gets progressively more silly. Jason Takes Manhattan is a comedy. Evil Dead 2, which is probably my favorite horror movie of all time, is a comedy, and probably one of the best comedy. It's as a comedy, it's brilliant as well. But Evil Dead 2 is wonderful.
Sci-fi is a weird one because you have a lot of the iconic stuff happening late 60s to the late 70s. You have Star Wars. You have Alien, you have Star Trek, you have all of the big iconic, Lost in Space would have been around that time. Maybe a bit before. There's so many, and you're kind of was that the best era when you look back? But then there was a lot of good sci-fi when we were growing up.
If you look as well at the 50s, the Twilight Zone, all that sort of stuff, the creature movies, them and all that sort of stuff.
We had a lot of good sci-fi though. We did as well, so it's tough one.
I actually watched a good sci-fi movie the other night, Companion. And it's basically the gist is a lad has a sort of companion robot, and you're not really aware of it for a while, and then it just turns into a cat and mouse kind of a thing. But it was by the guy who did Barbarian, which I thought was a really excellent horror movie that came out a couple of years, maybe just 1 year ago. But yeah, worth checking out anyway.
Yeah, I think if I was to go for sci-fi, I think up to the 90s, because you had Terminator and everything. I think back then was great. 70s, 80s, 90s, Aliens.
Yeah.
And then I think probably for horror, I actually prefer the more kind of some of the more recent stuff. And then you factor in Saw's kind of almost a horror film.
Saw's. I was never a big Saw fan.
I loved the first one.
You liked the first one, yeah.
I liked all of them, but the first one I thought was very good.
Yeah, I'm not great with gore on real people. I don't like it. But I like seeing a zombie getting mashed up and stuff. But gore on real people, I get a bit queasy. The Hills Have Eyes, I thought was an excellent horror movie, but that part in the caravan, and you can make the argument that's part of what makes it so good, because you're so sort of
and the sound design and all during that as well is really good. It's great. So Grant Robertson writes in, he says, if the 5 digits on one of your hands could produce any liquid you want, what would the 5 be? Let's put a limit on 3 litres a day per finger, and nothing like hydrochloric acid or something like that will do damage immediately to your body or others. Otherwise, Eamon would be out and about with his vigilante trip as the Acid Avenger.
Pretty good. Whiskey.
Whiskey.
Yeah,
you would have an alcohol. You have to have a couple.
I'm having a whiskey finger.
You
could argue I have one as it is.
I'd have a whiskey, a cider, vodka, fingers, and then Coke Zero.
Yeah, I was going to say Coke Zero. And do you know what? I wouldn't mind water. You need to stay hydrated. Let's be real. If you get caught away from water and all you have is whiskey and fucking Coke Zero, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I'm going to cut. I prefer whiskey over vodka, but vodka agrees with me better. So I'm going to cut whiskey. I'll keep vodka, and I'm going to put stuff soy boy oat milk probably. because I drink a lot of bone milk.
Yeah, that's fair. I think you have to be pragmatic in
these
things. You need a Coke Zero for sure. Yeah. Actually, a coffee finger.
Oh, a coffee finger. Fuck a coffee finger.
It's getting. I'd need a coffee finger.
Coffee and a tea finger. I probably need a coffee and a tea finger.
Think about this as well now. In terms of
alcohol
return on investment. Wait now. Here's another thing. If you bought a few barrels and you use your whiskey finger, now you're just leaving those accrue. It's basically just earning you money over time. So if I had a whiskey finger, I'd probably go into the whiskey business. And I'd probably start. Then I could just quit my job and just do whiskey.
Yeah,
I'd have to work for 3 years until the whiskey ages to like a fair, because I'd be taking in, that taste.
Well, you might be able to pick, like your finger might be able to dispense like 15-year-old scotch.
If your finger's going Johnny Walker Gold, like you're making a bank.
Yeah. No, I think I'd probably do like coffee, tea.
No, I think just coffee for me.
No, coffee, tea, oat milk, vodka, cider.
I'll go. I think I
That's
go
what I'm doing.
Whiskey. Probably go for an IPA. It's Guinness or an IPA. I'm not sure which one.
Guinness. Go on,
I like Guinness, but like I do, if I'm true to myself, I do like the old Netley beers. So anyway, that's 2 alcohol fingers. I have coffee then. Water. I think I need a water finger in case of emergency. I think a water finger is sensible. And then the last one's probably a Coke Zero.
Cool. That's a great question, by the way.
Yeah, very good.
The brother-in-law, Mr. Ben Hennessy, asks, Eamon,
what of the large amount of cryptid ghost sightings accounts that you've covered seems the most plausible?
Ben's also, to me, he's more than a brother-in-law.
Oh, there you go.
Gentle lover.
He's always a woman to me.
More than a woman.
What is the most plausible? Obviously, like UFOs are the most plausible because they're there. But I do want Bigfoot.
Yeah, we've referenced it a lot of times. It would be great if I could remember the name of it. But that clip that we did,
the Marble Mountain thing, with Spooky one,
that to me is one of the most plausible Bigfoot clips. Even more so than Patterson Gimlin, because it's just so bizarre, the circumstance. So for anyone listening that doesn't know the kind of the story behind it, and I'm kind of ad-libbing it now, it's literally been probably 3 years since we covered it. But I think, as far as I'm aware, the rough gist of it was, there was kind of, I think they were scouts.
Scouts or something, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was scouts or, family trip. I'm pretty sure scouts. They went out to, somewhere in Bigfoot County. And they had the camera and they were just filming around the camp, I think. And then someone was like, oh, like, what's that up on that ridge? Like, and he filmed the ridge. It was very far away. And it was a humanoid figure, but it was just a very large humanoid figure. It was an outline of something that just didn't look human.
It didn't look like how you traditionally would have thought Bigfoot looks. But when you hear people give reports of Bigfoot, it's that long arms. So it actually fits into some of the reports of Bigfoot. There's people who've reported, like, I'd be listening to it every now and then, lads who reported 15-foot grey big feet. And like stuff that, if you actually think about it for a minute, if you were in the forest and you saw that, it would scare the absolute shite out of you.
But that did look kind of like that.
That's what I mean. It looked really tall, really long-limbed and awkward. Yeah. And you were kind of looking at it going, now look, maybe, I know we've talked about, I can't remember the name, that the cloud thing where the shadow comes in. But I think you have to be in the clouds for that. It can't
it's like
just be
the grey man thing.
The grey man. Like that, you can't see that from a distance, right?
And like everyone's seen it. So like that was the weird thing. So there was a couple of weird things about the clip that to me lend a bit of authenticity to it. One was that everyone in the clip, including the kids, and like we all know how kind of like variable kids can be in the reaction to something. I saw, like, what I'm trying to say is if you were trying to say to all these kids, we're going to do a Bigfoot hoax video now, kids, like, play along. It just seemed very organic, and also the way that the video was found, it wasn't released by the guy himself ever, and I think he might have, don't quote me, but I think he actually might have been deceased when it was found.
I think so, yeah.
And they just put it out there, and if that story is true, and like, because it's all camcorder footage, and if that story is true and is to be believed, I don't think it's been debunked. That to me is probably one of the most real. Some of the, like, see, it's so hard with like the local legends and stuff when people describe things and what gets lost in translation. But again, some of them Mokele Membe, some of the stories, and then when we were talking to Brother Richard, and he was kind of saying like, oh, like there was more kind of, you know, because he had people from the monks that were working over there, and like they had stories, and you're like,
and it was all this sort of that metaphysical type stuff going on. I think the other thing as well is the ghost stories that we've been told, again, like by Brother Richard.
Yeah, actually,
like some of the experiences Tim has had.
By the people we know personally to talk to, I think those are always the ones.
Exactly. The ones on the podcast, you know, we've heard with Emma as well, obviously, but then we do like know friends of ours and people we know and ourselves who've had these strange little things happen from time to time. And I do feel like there's some sort of a force that we just can't measure.
Yeah.
That might be a part of nature and manifest through as these things, but I feel it has to be there because there's too much of this stuff coming through.
I'm kind of like cryptid agnostic in a way, where it's like, you know, I'm looking for that evidence. Like I'm actively, like I probably at face value, if like there was a gun to my head, I would probably say no, there aren't a lot of these things out there. As flesh and blood,
I'd say no. But as manifestations of some weird energy, I would be like, yeah, I think that might exist.
Yeah, but like actively, we're both actively kind of looking for that stuff, and we're trying to get word out and trying to also get word back about these things, and it is because we're curious. So I think ghost ones that are most plausible.
Well, just all the stories we've heard, like Brother Richard talking about the Black Mass, Emma talking about the girl with the black eyes in the hospital. Like I think all those you know stories.
The exorcism stories are fairly.
The exorcism ones are spooky.
Mad,
I do think that I was listening to an interesting thing the other day about mimetic viruses.
Oh yeah,
and they were talking basically about they used anorexia as like a sort of the theme for it, and the idea was it didn't really exist, and then obviously someone, you know, presented in this way, so there were no symptoms, there was no anorexia. It's kind of, this is like the times of hysteria when that would have been a thing that was you know, women would get diagnosed with it, but it was about once you name this thing and it becomes kind of not popular, but it becomes known about, then people tend to present more with it. And they were trying to figure out, like, is that just you're naming a thing that has existed that then you can more easily identify, or is that you've almost spoken a thing into existence, and because of that, and because of the way humans are psychologically, we can then start to present as this thing we find out about.
Anorexia is a good example. I do think that it has always been a neurological condition.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I've heard some like weird cases of anorexia where like people that, you know, like older people and stuff getting it, and you're just like, why, like, where did this develop? But it must be to do with some kind of neurodegenerative,
I'd say,
kind of breakdown or something. Something's going on.
I wonder of these things when you talk about neurodegenerative stuff, like, and like I think you said it before, they're finding out that the root of all psychological malady is like the one thing. It just presents as different
branches off, probably it's like a tree almost.
So in that case, what it could be is that if you knew about anorexia, then maybe as you start to become sick, you know, of mind, that might be something you present as, or it could be, you know, the likes of, because they went into a big deep dive on like how depression wasn't a thing. Now we know depression is a thing. That's very important to exist. Say. Yeah, never heard of it, never experienced it. What are you talking about?
Woke nonsense.
But, woke nonsense. But I think it was like, you get into the thing where they're trying to sell you the pills for it, and it's the over prescription of depression in a lot of cases. I think to be properly diagnosed, you need to be depressed for more than 2 weeks consistently. Yeah,
but in America, it's just fucking ridiculous. All the fucking stupid ads for medicine in America. And for all of our Americans listening, we love you. We have our majority are American.
But I'm sure they probably think that.
Oh no, but like I'm just saying that we don't have that over here. No. So like when I see American TV, when I'm watching the old dodgy box, I'm going like, what the fuck?
Do you feel?
Yeah,
because if anyone asked me, do you feel sad? I'd be like, often.
Yeah, I say
constant. Like, I worry every day, and I'm constantly.
Hey, let me get on the phone there and get whatever.
Actually, I agree with these.
Oh yeah, I think I have mesothelioma now. Actually, I worked with asbestos. I think I walked by an asbestos building at one point. Yeah, give me that medicine or whatever the fuck you're selling me. No, it is literally like annoying. I'd be just like, I'm annoyed by this constantly, like, because there's a percentage of the population over there, I guarantee you, that you're putting stuff into their conscious, like it's just sitting in
and
there.
that's the mimetic virus, because you're going like, here's the meme, and then they go, actually, and again, I don't mean to say that, it was just a curious thing I listened to. Now, they got into a weird situation where they started talking about hysteria. They came to the conclusion, not me. It's not real. They came to the conclusion that women are crazy. Was that they were like, but sure, they're all stupid and crazy anyway. But sure, they're all crazy. And I was like, because they were making some really interesting points about these mimetic viruses. And it must exist to some extent, but there has to be the counterpoint of actual illness. And then they just bombed themselves. It was actually Mysterious Universe, the two Aussie blokes. They're like us, but Australian. But yeah, your man and I think your man might have been accused of some weird white nationalist stuff before, but I don't know if that's true, but I think I heard that somewhere. But yeah, he just started mouthing off about women being crazy, but he didn't do it in a way that was funny.
Wouldn't be like an Australian lad to do that now at all.
Women are crazy, mate.
It's so Australians are so funny. It's such a weird juxtaposition, because most of the men, much like myself, are absolute bellends, and all of the women are super beautiful, nice, smart, and like really chirpy and have a great attitude.
Boy, Sheila.
And the lads are just cocks. And they're like, it's this weird mashup. And they're like, but I'm a cock as well.
Well, so to be fair,
I like Australian lads. I have a lot in common with, and we have a lot of Australian listeners. I think for that reason that we have that kind of
Irish, I believe, gave ourselves a bad name in Australia and Canada, because we were going over there like lads coming off the wagon, just going nuts, and the orange girls descending on Perth and etc.
So that's the questions. A little bit of my news. I had a funny dream. So I'm on a lot of antihistamines.
I took the one you gave me just before. I had a dream that you and me. And I remember this. It was. I'm gonna get another one tonight. Where I had a dream that you and me were in my house trying to get shoes, but there was big grubs in our shoes, big wormy, globulous, gelatinous insects in our shoes, and I was just looking, going, "How are we gonna put on our shoes?" Like, and the two of us were just freaking out because we weren't able to put on our shoes.
That sounds like something that might happen, actually. Yeah, I had one. I was at a big, massive house party in this mansion. I think I was somewhere in like LA, I think. And I was with 50 Cent.
Nice.
And some of his cohorts. And we were all chilling. And I was like, oh, this is great. Like, and he was, telling me to crack. And, there's this person here and there, whatever, blah, blah. And then he was like, do you want to, we'll go somewhere else, like we'll bounce somewhere else. And I was like, yeah, grand, man, should we do that? And we get a taxi. And it's his mate, me, and 50 in the back of the taxi. Like, and we're driving along. And
freak off.
Next thing, 50 looks me in the eye and he starts grabbing me Mickey. He starts molesting me, right? And in the dream, I'm like, oh fuck, am I getting molested? And I was kind of trying to turn to the other fella, going like, what is going on? And he was like, he was in on it as well. And I was like, oh bollocks. And then the taxi driver is like, hey man, we gotta get out of here, man. This is no good. So pull over there. So the taxi driver pulled over, and me and the taxi driver actually managed to get them out, and we drove off together. And I was like sitting in the front with the taxi driver going, fucking hell, what the fuck was that about, man? And he was like, I gotcha. Yeah, because I think it was because I had a taxi driver. Remember, I think I was saying on the pod last week, he was Pakistani, and I was chatting away to him. And I think that was I think the driver in the dream is maybe Pakistani, and he was saving me. But like, I was proper getting in my brain in the dream was like, oh, I'm getting molested. This is what that feels like.
And was 50 Cent, he was like on the denim, was he? Like he wasn't.
Oh yeah, he put his hand on me denim, on me Mickey. Like, and I was kind of like, wow, now, and all. I was like, get out of here now, son. The fuck off out there.
50 Cent and another blacks on blondes. Poor old Rob getting railroaded in the taxi.
I was like, get the fuck out of here, brother. No, so it was good, yeah. Funny, like, I woke up and I was like, what the fuck is with these tablets?
Yeah. To be fair, you can occasionally have dreams where you just like, it makes you question yourself.
This
like,
didn't. This was like you were getting assaulted sexually. Like that's what in my dream. It's funny that like, it was a YouTube algorithm dream. There was no like,
it was defragging.
It was like, oh god, like you need to get out of here.
I guess in a sense it kind of makes sense because you've heard so much stuff about how Diddy hates Puff Daddy.
I was probably reading,
and it's probably lots of stuff going around, and then it's like, do you know? But so like, so 50 Cent is saying because he will leave the car if you don't want it. Yeah. So he's just it was nice. He's just a man out there trying to get, you know.
Yeah, it was nice that way. Yeah, he was quite charismatic. I was like delighted, but I was like 50's fairly cool. Like
and he was willing to give you a hand job as well. Like that's a nice. Do you know what I mean? That's a nice host.
The tablets are Montella cast, if anyone's wondering.
No, but it's serious, like it. They must work because I remember that dream. You remember the dream as well.
Dream. I do be waking up like it's nuts, like because I do be waking up with the CPAP on, going like, what the ever Christ? Like what the ever Christ is going on? It's like the most bizarre, unnatural sleeps. But yeah, and then other than that, I think this is my week. My week, other than that, has been quite quiet. We've had like. In Ireland here, we've had loads of rain.
Oh, there was no sun for like... Today's the first sunny day
I didn't realise we're in the bottom 5 countries in the world for sunlight.
That's why we're all fucking miserable and drink all the time. We have no vitamin D. They should start putting vitamin D in the Guinness and the country would be grand. My garden was like literally a swamp, and there's also a cryptosporidium outbreak in the water supply. Oh, yeah.
So it's boiled water, and I was like, oh, what's cryptosporidium? It's basically just a nice way of saying there's feces in your water.
E. coli, like it'll give you E. coli, right?
It's from feces.
Yeah. Is it just because when it rains bad, the water level rises and it's run off from the reservoir farms and shit? Yeah.
All the silage and all gets into your fucking water supply.
Put hair in your chest.
Yeah.
Jank them in the water.
Drinking the crypto. It's like a new Logan Paul drink, cryptosporidium.
Cryptosporidium.
To get that bacteria.
Ashley Welsh or whatever her name is that your one?
Playing a lot of Kingdom Come 2, that's great. Really enjoying that. Again, some really fun quests in it. Like that are just silly, but that's what you want out of an RPG. Like there's a quest where you meet up with a lot of lads that they're like called humans. I think they're Hungarian. So in the game they're like the foreign faction and they all speak a different language. But like one of them wants to like ride one of the local women, so you go up and try and act as an interpreter for him, and you're just talking mad, but you're langered, so you're like talking mad shit, and you get real drunk, and there's like a talking dog that shows up and stuff, just like loads of like funny wacky kind of stuff. No, it's good. Really enjoying that actually, way more than Metaphor, because Metaphor just wasn't for me. I don't think it was
too much of a grind for you.
Yeah,
some of those JRPGs are, it's just too much. Like if we never played Final Fantasy 7 as kids and it came out today, be like, I'm not playing that. That's too much. Like,
no, it wasn't for me. No. How about you? How was your week?
Well, I went and we had our first practice with a band I was in
many moons ago.
Like at this stage, must be 13 years ago.
Don't say the name. I'll tell you why later.
Okay. And so we did all that, and basically after 13 years, we sounded like we'd all been practicing together the week beforehand. So it all was still really good. Yeah, it was class. And everybody was just like, oh, this is
got
class.
Matthew in there, you know, and Kevin.
Yeah, Matthew, Kevin, Brian, Wayne. It was brilliant. And I forgot how it feels to like
play.
Just, like in that noise, because I would have been playing acoustic and stuff since then. But with all the amps and everything else and the drums. And after the first song, like, back into screaming and all that sort of stuff, and just like my body was like a frightened rabbit. Like it was just, I could feel just this mad feeling I hadn't felt in ages, where you're, you know, conserving your oxygen when you're trying to sing and do it. It was just, it was really, really fun, and everybody really enjoyed it. You know, it was great. Yeah,
I think that we'll leave it there. So what we're doing for Monday's episode is we never did like episode 500, and we've actually probably got about 600 episodes now. And we've never we haven't really done an episode in the spirit of kind of like
a retrospective,
just a chat about the pod and all that kind of fun stuff. So we kind of said, because Em's gone away, we'll have something light and we'll just kind of sit down and chat shit and have the crack and kind of look back on some of our favorite moments, maybe some of the kind of cool stuff. and have a kind of just a laid back, chill out episode. Before we leave, I'd like to thank everyone. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe. We're like literally, I think, something like 20 subs off being partnered now. So, and it's been like a fair fucking slog to get partnered on YouTube because YouTube is fucking grim. But yeah, head on over, leave us a sub if you haven't already. That makes a big difference to us. It'll just add a little bit more money to the kitty as well when we do get partnered, which is always great. So we'll leave it there. I've been Rob.
Eamon.
Monster Fuzz over and out.
Thank you. Bye bye.